Hello, I'm Ken Fobb. This is NewsNet, Baton Rouge. Grab a tea or coffee as I go over with you headlines and news from our local area and region. An East Baton Rouge Parish grand jury has charged 3 men for the brutal murder of a 73-year-old woman while they burglarized her home in Zachary back in March of this year. Miss Frances Jane Schultz was found by her husband of 54 years tied up with duct tape and shot to death in the living room of their home on Bryan Road. The grand jury has indicted Adrian Curtis, Cortland Curtis, and Donovan Brown with second-degree murder and aggravated burglary. Donovan Brown was also indicted for being in possession of a firearm as a convicted felon. Investigators say Art Schultz, the deceased husband, had previously hired Adrian Curtis to help bale hay on their property. According to East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff Sid Gotro, because Mr. Art Schultz owned a hay baling business on a couple of different properties and because he kept horses as well, he would often hire help to assist him. If each of the 3 accused killers are convicted of second-degree murder, each will be sentenced to a mandatory term of life in prison at hard labor. 18-year-old Jack Jordan, who recently crashed his vehicle into the rear end of a vehicle being driven by Miss Stephanie Payne while she was stopped at the intersection of Segan Lane and Perkins Road, causing her vehicle to explode into flames, killing her, has been officially charged with second-degree murder, reckless operation, and simple escape because he attempted to flee after he was arrested. Police say impairment on part of Jack Jordan is not suspected to be a factor, but nonetheless, toxicology samples were taken from him for analyses. Jack Jordan told the state police that he intentionally caused this crash. He claims he actually accelerated into Mrs. Payne's vehicle and that he noticed his speedometer was at 90 miles per hour just before impact. Ms. Payne was apparently seriously injured as a result and was pronounced dead at the scene. The crash remains under investigation, and Jack Jordan's bond has been set at more than $500,000 by a judge. A Baton Rouge chiropractor has finally been arrested 1 year after deputies seized almost 30 pounds of controlled prescription drugs from him. According to police reports, on July 9, 2018, deputies found 62-year-old Michael Goff asleep in his car in a Walgreens parking lot on Perkins Road. While speaking with him, deputies noticed prescription pill bottles on his floorboard. They retrieved the bottles that was sitting in plain sight. The labels on these bottles were destroyed, but the bottles were filled with hydrocodone and other prescription medications. A search warrant was obtained, and eventually the deputies found more than $8,000 in cash on the floorboard, 2 handguns, 87 prescription pill bottles, and 22 plastic bags filled with assorted pills and capsules inside. The Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, was contacted to help deputies in the investigation. Arrest records show they found 7.6 pounds of pills in his car, 21.2 pounds of pills at his home, all of which were controlled dangerous substances, which included oxycodone. Michael Goff has been practicing chiropractic medicine in the Baton Rouge area for more than 30 years. But back in 2006, 2 of his offices in Baton Rouge were raided by federal agents, after which he was accused of illegally distributing prescription drugs. And at that time, he was only indicted for obstruction of justice, and those charges were dismissed in 2011. He now has new charges of intent to distribute controlled dangerous substances and for being in possession of a firearm in the presence of those substances. He has been released on a $30,000 bond. Drago's Seafood Restaurant, known for its famous charbroiled oysters, plans to open its 5th restaurant location right here in Baton Rouge. This restaurant will be located at 4580 Constitution Avenue near College Drive at Interstate 10, and the grand opening will be scheduled for later this year. This new location will offer authentic New Orleans cuisine. This new Baton Rouge restaurant is expected to create 150 new jobs, and it will be making an initial investment in Baton Rouge of nearly $6 million. Drago's restaurant first opened its original New Orleans location in 1969. It currently has locations in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Metairie, and in Jackson, Mississippi. To apply for employment there online, visit dragosrestaurant.com. These have been headlines and news from our local area and region. I'm yours truly, Ken Fobb. I'll see you next time right here on NewsNet Baton Rouge. Have a safe and great weekend.